Hey guys, Yuki here, back with Seduce Me Too, the Demon More Sam's route, but alternate routes part 12? 13? Give me 1 second. I gotta check to see, because I honestly do not remember. I took a bit of a break for a couple weeks because, I don't know, haven't been really feeling it. But like I said, I've been working a lot on my cosplays past couple of weeks instead. I don't know, maybe I'll showcase them or something. I don't really know if you guys would really care, but I guess I'm slowly easing my way into hopefully eventually doing a face reveal. Don't know quite when yet, maybe during the SakuraCon, like vlog stuff. So that's gonna be in April. Come on now, don't be slow. So yeah, instead, last couple days ago or a week, I don't know anymore. I've lost track of time. I posted like something I had recorded way back in like September, but I didn't really record it because my graphics card wasn't even able to do that. But I am planning on getting a new computer soon, so hopefully I can upgrade the core so it'll be able to play certain games and stuff. Okay, so this is part 14. But yeah, after I think we finish this, I'm probably gonna try my best to breeze past Matthew's one. But yeah. With a nod of my own, I slipped into bed with him and closed my eyes. I had to prepare myself for whatever the dragon had planned. I half expected to wake up to Diana to be disguised as Sam as the morning came. However, as I awoke, I was happily in the arms of the man I loved. Despite the tired fog over my vision, I could sense that the man who was holding me was the true Sam. The way he held me gave it all away. As he pulled my body close to him, I giggled, knowing Sam was awake. I know you're awake.
No, you don't, you doofus.
I laughed and kissed the snow softly, causing Sam to open his eyes. As he gazed into my eyes and smiled, I felt my heart completely swell in joy. I had almost forgotten about the day ahead. All I wanted to do was stay in bed with him a little longer.
Morning.
Morning. Sam lazily leaned forward and kissed me before pulling me to his chest and sitting us both up.
Come on, time to get up.
Do we have to? As I asked, I could sense a new determination from Sam. Something about him seemed confident despite having just woken up. I tilted my head and placed my hands on his shoulders, curious as to why that was. Hey, what's got you so energized? Sam turned his head and looked in my direction, giving me a surprised look himself.
Huh? What do you mean? I'm always energized.
Well, that's good to hear.
Well, thanks for barging in all the time, Diana. You never knock. Sam and I looked over the door suddenly to see Diana leaning against the archway, holding 2 large plates of food. I was surprised she was able to carry them. Both plates were piled with food that looked absolutely delicious. Sam and I practically salivated at the sight before Sam shook his head and glared at Diana.
You ever learn how to knock?
Well, we have a lot to do, so I figured knocking would only waste precious time. My apologies.
Diana walked over at last and handed us our plates before stepping back and crossing her arms. Sam began to chow down as I took the slower approach to eating while it was given to me with a laugh.
So, are you prepared for your test, dear?
That made me stop and look up at Diana. She knew that I was next. She already devoted herself to the dragon before, so it wasn't surprising, but maybe she knew what exactly was in store for me. I couldn't be sure. Do you know what my test is? Diana nodded as Sam looked up at her to see her answer. I gulped, now a bit worried. Can you tell me?
Unfortunately, no, I cannot. If I could, I would, dear.
I grimaced, looking to the fireplace and knowing that the dragon was probably watching. I half expected him to answer for Diana, but he didn't speak. My mind began to fill with ideas of what it could have been about. What was I going to be tested on? How was it going to go down? Would I have to fight? All of these possibilities lingered in my thoughts as Sam finished his food.
Hey,
I looked at Sam, feeling him rub my back gently with his strong hand. I felt some comfort in the gesture and more from the smile on his face.
you'll be fine. I believe in you.
Thanks, Sam. I was glad to know that Sam was supporting me through this. Diana, however, looked to the fireplace.
I will say this, though. It should be easy for you.
Well, I'm gonna make it hard for myself. Huh? It should be easy? Diana nodded before looking around and looking over her shoulder to maintain her eye contact with me.
Yes, that is, if you believe in your love.
I stared wide-eyed at Diana before she turned and walked away, leaving me and Sam alone. I grew curious and concerned, but I had to let it go for now. The test was apparently tonight, so I had to wait. I slowly became more comfortable with the sword and began to do more tricks. I became more agile and more aware of my surroundings as I continued to slice through the dummy I decided to call Mal. I don't know why, but the name felt right for it. I pulled myself from the training grounds to the gates and through the castle doors. The interior was dark, yet the warm, ever-burning fires that served as lights illuminated the corridors, eased my ability to navigate through the winding halls. The walk was peaceful and quiet on the way to my destination, until I heard a familiar laughter tear through the walkway. And this is where I skip past. As I marched back to my room, I was stopped by Sam. I stared at him as he leaned against the door of our room as if he had been waiting for me for a while.
Hey,
Hey. I knew that this could only mean one thing. My test was waiting for me. I pressed my lips together, nervous, but knowing that I had to go through it regardless of how I felt. Diana's words began to flood back into my mind as I took Sam's hand and gave it a squeeze. Sam squeezed my hand back, nodding, and led me away from our bedroom towards the war room where Diana was waiting for us. As Diana locked her sights on us, she let out a sigh and gestured to the table where a large conglomerate of items were placed and presented. Sam halted and stopped, staring at the table in absolute shock. I, however, merely grew confused. On top of the table was an assortment of single flowers, each of a different color and type. They were formed in a magic circle pattern, but there was no magic to be seen.
when did you...
Hush, this is for her.
Sam instantly shut his mouth as I looked to Sam in confusion. He knew what this was? I turned to Diana, completely lost.
Dear, do you know what I've prepared here?
I stared at the table, unsure of how to discern it. A couple of ideas came to mind, but I didn't want to be wrong if this was part of the test. Sam knew what it was too, given the strong reaction from him. Could it have been? I'm not answering. If it was what I thought it was, I didn't want to answer. If I had to go through with this, to pass a stupid test, then I needed more time. Something like this was apparently very serious and needed heavy consideration. Diana pressed her lips together before sighing and gesturing to the flowers.
This is a marriage ritual. Freshly blossomed flowers, holding peak-worthy magical essence, arranged in a magic circle, are part of what a binding ritual needs to happen.
Part? Diana nodded and looked to the table.
The other part is a precious item forged between two souls to bind them together.
I couldn't believe it. This was my test? There was no way I was ready for this. But here I was, staring at a setup that just screamed, "Go through with it!" Part of me was angry and aggravated. I had to go through with this for some stupid dragon's power? This was something Sam and I were supposed to discuss together. Now it felt like an arranged agreement. What was I going to do? The test was obviously going to make me go through with this for the sake of Sam, but I still wasn't ready. Soul binding seemed very heavy, and as much as I loved Sam, I needed to be 100% clear. Sam stepped forward and glared at Diana.
We're not doing this.
Pardon?
You heard me. We're not going through with this.
I stared at Sam wide-eyed. What? He didn't want to go through with it anymore? What was going on? I remembered clearly that he wanted to do it. Now he was against it? Sam looked to me and I could suddenly see the reason why buried in his eyes. He still wanted to, but not like this. I could tell he was throwing away something he desperately wanted for my own sake. Sam Sam turned and grasped my shoulder, staring into my eyes.
I know that I want to do this. I want to do this more than anything. But you are more important to me than some dumb ritual. I will never let you force yourself to make this decision if you're nowhere near ready.
I felt like crying. This was exactly why I loved him. There was one reason of a million. This is one of a million reasons why Sam was so important to me. My heart felt at ease, looking into his eyes and letting rogue tears roll down my cheeks. It may have seemed like a simple thing, but to me this was important. I gently caressed Sam's cheek, feeling the warmth of his skin beneath my hand, and thinking every deity I knew that I had him beside me as mine. However, as Diana cleared her throat, we both turned to her reaction. What really threw us off was seeing her cover her mouth, hiding some sort of smirk that was peeking out between her fingers.
Who said anything about you going through with it?
Sam and I became dumbfounded. What? We didn't have to go through with it. Then why was this set up?
For fuck's sake, if you're messing with us...
Diana began to laugh hysterically, causing Sam to stop talking and become dumbfounded once again. What the hell was going on?
I knew it! I knew it!
What the fuck, Diana?
I was beyond lost. As Diana continued to laugh, she curled over her stomach and covered her face, trying to catch her breath.
This was perfect! This was absolutely perfect!
Diana! Now I became frustrated. What was so funny about this? Diana finally stopped laughing, wiping her eyes from the tears that had formed from laughing so hard, and grinned at me and Sam.
I didn't set this up to make you two do it. That would ruin the point of the test.
Then what is the test? I became flustered and mentally scrambled as to what was going on. As my body suddenly began to sink into the ground, however, I gasped and looked down to see a large purple pentagram pulling me and Sam into the floor.
Whoa!
Demon marriage lets you know where your soul partner is at all times. The test is that you find your husband without it.
I couldn't even fight back as I was engulfed by darkness at last. I couldn't tell how long I was trapped in the darkness. All I knew was that I was going to wake up and find Sam. As I opened my eyes, I had to adjust to the bright light around me and the sounds of nature in my ear. I rubbed my eyes and found myself in a forest lying underneath a large tree with burn marks across its bark. I could tell that this would be my starting place and my marker if I got lost, so while I felt terrible for the tree, I was thankful to have something visually to reference. And so this was my test. I had to find the man I loved without anything but my heart and my instincts. This was cheesy as hell, expecting someone to find someone else using the power of love. I loved Sam deeply, but I didn't know if it would be strong enough to guide me through a terrain as I was unaware of to Sam, who could also have been wandering around looking for me. There were so many variables to consider. Still, this was a test for a reason, and I had to figure this out. I cut my hands together and shouted, knowing his name would be a way to bring him to me. Malix! The nearby birds around me fluttered wildly in the air, surprised at my shout, but Sam didn't appear. What the hell? This was supposed to have worked. Something must have had him under holy magic or something to negate the demon summoning, another part of the test. Guess I wasn't allowed to cheat. It was worth a try. Just go find him. I started heading to the left of the tree's burn marks. It was better than no direction at all, and it was a start. Each step I took became one filled with haste. I wanted to find Sam soon. I didn't want to laze around about this. It felt like hours went by until I stopped and looked around, exhausted from walking so far at such a fast pace. I leaned against a nearby tree, catching my breath. How the hell am I going to find him? Something in my heart began to feel heavy. What if it wasn't able to find him? What if this was an impossible quest? I felt my body slide down to the side of the tree, making me sit down at the base in fear. This couldn't be. Sadness and ache began to consume my thoughts. There was no way to track him, no way to find him at all in this place. I've been searching forever, only hoping that I would find him and pray that he was alive when I did. My hands combed through my hair as I fought back tears. Please let me wake up if this was a dream. Please let me see him again.
Giving up so soon, my dear?
At Diana's voice, I suddenly gasped and looked up, only to find no one around. I quickly stood and scanned the area, but alas, there were only trees around. Diana, I don't know what to do. How can I find him?
You have all of the means to find him. You're just not thinking it through.
I looked into the air, confused as ever. What did she mean? I didn't have anything but the clothes I was wearing. Diana chuckled slightly.
Think. Besides his heart, what else did he give you as a token of his love?
As she said it, the answer came into my mind, replaying the night Sam proposed to me in the night sky. I looked to my hand, seeing the engagement ring Sam had given me resting on my finger, glistening in the air.
There we are. The other part of the marriage ritual.
Second part? This was...
Indeed. It seems he intended to ask you to be his, in body, heart, and spirit.
My heart gave a hard and heated thump against my chest, agreeing with Diana's words. He had been prepared all along to ask me to be his, but wanted to at least give me what I wanted first before asking for what he wanted. I smiled, staring at the sparkling emeralds and diamonds on my ring and finally feeling the magic pulse within it. Still, I was lost into how to use it. How will this help me? Diana chuckled once more, her voice quieter than before.
I can't give you all of the answers, dear. But at least you won't be lost anymore.
Her voice finally vanished into the air, leaving me alone once more. However, my focus was on my ring, remembered clearly that this wasn't an ordinary ring, but one magically forged the night Sam proposed. Sam, I'm going to find you. I nodded and felt a wave of hope and courage rush through my body. I was really... ready. Now, I focused on the ring, trying to will it to give it me a sign, a hint, anything to help me find Sam. As I stared into it, a word popped into my mind. Letting it loose, I could feel my magic pulse into the air from around my body. Amor. My hand suddenly became wrapped in green chain-shaped markings sprouting from the base of my ring before jutting off of my skin and flying forward through the air and deeper into the forest. I felt myself grinning from ear to ear. I was going to find him. I quickly burst into a sprint, following the ethereal chain that was leading me towards Sam, uncaring of the harsh breaths I was taking or the pain that shot through my legs. I needed to keep going forward. All that mattered was that I had to keep moving forward. The chain twisted and turned around trees and often arced around obstacles for me, guiding me perfectly towards a thicker brush of woods. The amount of bushes and smaller trees began to grow the farther I went in, but I continued. Soon enough, I found myself walking towards the descending mouth of a cave where a familiar brown-haired demon boy lay face down at its edge. Sam! I ran forward and slid into my knees, lifting his head into my lap. Around his neck was a golden collar which, upon my touch, vanished and caused Sam to stir from his comatose state.
What?
My heart began to swell as I stared down at him, tears welling up in my eyes. This was really him. He was safe here in my arms, and I had found him. His emerald gaze bore into mine, still dazed from the sleep he was in. As he stared up at me, Sam lifted his hand and caressed my cheek, causing me to unconsciously nuzzle into it.
There you are.
Just nod. I couldn't bring myself to say anything. I was so happy. I gripped over his hand and kissed it, feeling so complete that he was here with me. I'd found him at last.
Well done.
To our surprise, the voice didn't ring in our heads. The voice of the dragon echoed from the cave, causing me and Sam to separate and stare into the void.
You have proven to me the strength of your heart. Now, for the final test, Sam must prove his.
I instinctively gripped Sam tighter. We weren't going to be separated again, were we? Sam, however, slowly stood up, guiding me with him, and glared into the darkness.
Hit me with your best shot. I'm ready.
A dark, echoing chuckle reverberated from the cave, causing a shiver of fear to rush down my body. I was beyond nervous, but we had to come this far. We were going to win this powers.
Step into the cave and face me. I will judge you.
The memories of my nightmare began to fill my head. What if this was a trick? What if the dragon killed Sam while he was in there? Despite my frightening thoughts, Sam stepped towards the cave, nodding.
You got it.
Every voice and nerve in my head screamed for me to stop him. I didn't want him to die. At the same time, this was a test. He had to do it. I was placing my heart on the table and hoping it wouldn't be ripped apart with a single blast. Let me save real quick. But in a different save file. Okay. Let him do it. I had to trust him. He could do this. I watched as Sam walked into the cave, following behind until he vanished into the darkness. I stood once again between the light and the dark, waiting. Waiting. My nightmare, however, soon became realized.
You are not worthy.
Oh God, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. All of a sudden, the darkness became full of fire, and the bare outline of Sam flashed before burning away in the light of the flames. Sam's voice couldn't even let out a scream of pain as he was instantly burnt to ash. Sam!
Run! Run!
Diana's voice echoed through the air, but I was frozen in place, watching the flames rush at me to take me as well. I let them consume me, not wanting to forever live with the memory of Sam dying before my eyes. And you are not worthy. Alright. Alright. Listen. Okay, let's go for the next one. Stop, Sam. I couldn't let him do it. I needed him here for sure alive. It was too big of a risk to send him in there. I grabbed onto Sam's hand, pulling him back. No, don't! Sam stared at me in shock.
Why not?
I took a breath and looked up at him, uncaring about the fear obviously stricken on my face. I saw you die in there. In one of my nightmares. Please, don't. I could hear the concern dripping in my words. I wanted Sam to survive no matter what. Screw the words being selfish. I would protect Sam with my life. Sam stared silently at me, taking in what I had just said before letting out a sigh and nodding. My heart melted in happy relief as Sam turned away from the cave.
You heard her. I'm not coming in.
So be it.
Before Sam and I could walk away, a light burst into the air, causing us to grip onto each other and shut our eyes. The warmth of the light seemed to comfort and ease our travel to wherever the dragon was sending us. Regardless, I clung to Sam tightly and desperate not to let go of him. When we opened our eyes at last, we were in the war room in the middle of the space with the rebel leaders, the incubi and their wives staring wide-eyed at us. Diana stared at us for a moment before shaking her head.
Well, at least you're here now.
Yeah, we've been worried about you guys.
At least now we can prepare for the siege.
Thank goodness you're both all right.
Are either of you hurt?
I shook my head with a smile, thankful we weren't. Diana, however, cleared her throat as the rebel leaders took off, catching everyone's attention.
Well, I hate to break up this little reunion, but we have a battle to fight tomorrow. We should rest.
Everyone was in agreement, and especially my aching body. The run in the forest was not a kind one. As everyone began to leave, however, Diana called out,
Sam, a moment please. Alone.
No! I was worried about what Diana wanted to speak to Sam about alone, but I left the room with the rest of the group regardless. Diana seemed adamant. However, I remained at the door, listening in.
So, you got me alone. What do you want?
I peeked into the room to see Diana faced away from Sam, who had his arms crossed and was waiting for her to speak.
Tomorrow is the day we head out to fight him. We've been fighting for 10 years, and it will finally end.
You're stalling. What is it?
Do you know how many lives have been lost because of this war?
Sam finally lowered his arms and glared up at the back of Diana's head. I glared as well. Why was she bringing this up? From her tone of voice, however, she seriously wanted an answer.
Hundreds? Thousands?
9.5 million lives.
Sam's breath hitched in shock, as did mine. That many lives had been lost? Was this war truly as bloody as the rebel leaders described it to be? Diana turned her head and stared into Sam's shocked gaze.
I had to send off and watch almost 9.5 million soldiers marching to their deaths. This world lost that many lives and had to take their blood and ashes into its soil as the battles we fought ended. The Demon Lord, however, ravaged and slaughtered thousands of innocent lives in between, sending more people to their deaths just because they were in his way.
Why are you telling me this?
All of those lives could have been spared.
Diana turned around and glared hard at Sam, and to my surprise, Sam froze in place.
Every single life that was lost during this war could have lived, could have been leading normal lives.
Sam didn't open his mouth. Why wasn't he saying anything? I felt the need to step in, but I was stopped by a hand over my mouth. Damn you, Zero!
Shh.
Oh, it's Damien. I keep forgetting. I looked out to see Damien covering my mouth and staring into the room intently. I didn't understand. Why was he hushing me? I looked back into the room as Diana began to step towards Sam.
My kingdom became the target of the Demon Lord's wrath, and I came back to the castle and my people screaming to the sky and burning in the flames. My family was taken away from me, and there is nothing I can do to bring them back.
As Diana finally got close to Sam, leaning nose to nose with him, her eyes began to grow a cruel, cold, golden color, making me worry.
And it's all because of you, your brothers, and that human.
What?
Like lightnings, Diana and Sam slammed into the far wall. However, instead of However, instead of Diana against the wall, Sam was held against it with Diana's hand over his mouth. What surprised me the most was Sam staring at Diana with an almost shocked and fearful expression. What the hell? Sam gripped Diana's arm, but for some reason she didn't seem to be affected by his strength, like he was gripping stone. Where did her strength come from?
I want to get it through your head that this war is your fault. Yours and that human's faults. My parents, my sister, their lives were ripped away from this world because of you two. My kingdom burned, drowned in the flames of the Demon Lord because of you two. Your brothers were too enthralled with the human world to give a damn about where they came from, so I could have never convinced them to come back. You were my only hope, and you decided that the human was more important than the peace of this world. Because of your love for her, you stayed in the human world and caused so much death.
I struggled to step in. I slightly thrashed in Damien's arms, but he tightened his hold on me, keeping me quiet. I growled, knowing that I couldn't force myself out without giving both our positions away and continue to watch.
I want to burn that anger into your soul. Every single life that has been lost in this war to stop the Demon Lord was because of you and your love.
Diana's hand slowly moved from Sam's mouth to his collar and gripped it, pulling him up to his toes. However, as they continued to stare at each other, Sam's eyes began to glow a bright red and gold color, the mixture swirling in his green irises.
This war wasn't.
Yes, it was!
Diana quickly pulled Sam forward and slammed him back into the wall, causing him to jerk and wince, growling but continued to stare at Diana's angry expression. Around Diana's body was a dark purple aura, flickering like a wildfire with her screams.
If I had just killed that human and dragged you back, the world would not be suffering as it is! If that human wasn't alive, then the Demon Lord would not have done what he did! If you and your brothers had just stayed, this war would not have happened!
We're gonna end it!
We will! And when this war is over, I will never have to see you or that damn human ever again!
I stared wide as Diana lowered her head down and slightly loosened her grip on Sam's collar. Her back was arched over, twitching and spasming as Diana gritted her teeth.
That is why you two must survive.
What?
Diana's voice weakened immensely, drenched in softened, choked sobs and whimpers.
You two need to survive this war. You need to protect her. And stay alive, no matter what.
My heart dropped, but my mind was lost. Where was this coming from? I felt Damien loosen his grip over my mouth slightly as I watched Sam straighten up to look down at Diana. The aura around Diana slowly began to die out with each word Diana choked out.
If either of you die, then this war will have happened for nothing. All of those lives, all of this destruction. The only reason we are here is because of you two.
Diana.
Diana looked up at Sam, a new hopeless pain burning in her eyes as tears began to stream down her face.
Swear to me, brute, that you will take responsibility for this and live, no matter what happens. Damn the war, damn my life. But you must swear that you understand and will take this responsibility.
My heart was hurting at the sight of Diana. She looked so broken, barely gripping onto Sam and no longer forcing him against the wall behind him. Sam, however, pressed his lips together. What was he going to do? Sam, staring at Diana's expression, slowly grabbed onto both of Diana's horns and pulled Diana's head downward, pressing his forehead to the top of her head.
I swear.
For the first time and only time in my life, I watched Diana crumple to the ground onto her knees with Sam following down. Diana's hands released Sam and covered her face before she started sobbing violently into her palms. Sam kept his hands onto her horns, pressing his forehead onto the top of her head and with closed eyes. Red energy from Diana's body slowly began to slide away her form and into Sam's head, slowly wrapping around him and fading away. I stepped away from the door and looked to Damien, seeing him look down at the ground in shame. Damien.
It is our fault, but we can't change the past. We can only end this.
I nodded, feeling the weight of the world rest on my soul. In a way, I felt completely responsible for this war ever happening. I loved Sam enough to keep him away from his duty, his reason for birth. I had chained him to me, and I wouldn't let him go. I looked back to Diana, seeing her shaking and crying as Sam continued to remain still holding her horns. The energy had vanished, and all that was left were the tears Diana was shedding. Did Sam take her energy?
Sam took away her rage.
Wait, what? I looked up at Damien, confused. He was an incubus, so he was only able to take away sexual energy, right? He could take other forms of energy too? Sam can do that?
Yes, actually. While he's an incubus, he's also part brute demon, just like the rest of us.
I was surprised. Sam was part brute demon? So were the boys? Damien chuckled softly, assuming because they read my mind, and nodded.
Our mothers were succubi. The demon lord, though, he's no incubus. He's a brute demon who feeds on and uses rage energy.
Damien looked into the room, losing part of his smile.
Sam, our brothers and I were born incubi, but Sam inherited more brute demon traits than the rest of us. Thus, why he had the nicknames Brute and Monster.
Because he wasn't like a regular incubus? Damien nodded. I looked to Sam, see him stare into Diana's scalp with a focused but intense expression. The more I thought about it, the more I could see what he meant.
Sam never got into the idea of taking and using sexual energy. He was angry all of the time in the demon world, so he fed on rage energy instead. It wasn't until he went to the human world with us when he began to rely on his incubus powers.
I could only imagine it. Sam, who hated his father, was the rebel son of the Incubi brothers, full of anger. That was probably why he was so forward when he had met, and full of attitude. Still, I fell in love with him. He was truly a wonderful man. He did everything he could to make me happy and feel safe. He always put me first, which flattered me and made me feel incredibly special. I didn't know what to say to that. Diana eventually stopped crying and wiped her tears from her face, but she didn't raise her head. Damien, whom I thought would have stayed longer, disappeared, leaving me alone to watch.
Sam, if I die, would you?
Would he what? I stared, hoping that Diana would reply with a clearer question, but she merely closed her eyes and let out a small sigh. Suddenly the noise in the room became silent, but I could still see Diana's lips move. Sam's eyes widened as she finished speaking, but he didn't say anything back, even as Diana looked up at Sam. When Sam finally reacted, he let out a silent sigh and spoke back, the sound of his voice negated through whatever silence engulfed the room. As my body began to collapse, I watched as Diana listened and nodded with a smile before fading into the ground through a dark pentagram. Sam, however, remained there, staring where Diana had been, and took in whatever she had said. Upon the demand of my body, I began to make my way towards the bedroom, not wanting Sam to know that I had been eavesdropping. I finally reached my room, when I let my body fall onto the bed. I let out a sigh of utter pleasure as I felt the cloud-like bed cradle my body on its surface. I was beyond happy. I had been kidnapped and taken to the demon world by the demon lord, trapped here unless he or I died. Then Sam and I had been haunted by a powerful being that had been hell-bent on testing us. Oh, get back there, I didn't finish reading. This entire week had become a wild roller coaster, a ride of excitement that I would have never expected. Still, there was joy to be found in adventure, and my curiosity thanked destiny for letting me experience it. Now all I wanted to do was to get home and marry the man I loved. As Sam finally entered the room at last, I smiled and stood, walking over and wrapping my arms around him.
Hey, You ready to go home?
More than ready. We held each other, locked in silence and unable to say anything more. We let the situation we had gone through sink in, relieved that we were going to be happy from now on together. All we could do in the moment was hold each other and listen to our synchronized heartbeats. As the thought of tomorrow danced in my head, I began to grow fearful. Was I ready to go into battle? With Sam? For any of us, for that matter? We were about to walk into the final clash of a world war. Would we survive? Would I live to remain with Sam and feel his embrace again? Tomorrow brought too many questions to think about, and I became frustrated and scared. And asleep. We would survive. We would be okay. I felt safe in Sam's arms, and I'm sure he felt safe in mine. We would return to the human world and be okay. Sam kissed my forehead, feeling my exhaustion, and we tucked ourselves in, wrapping each other in our arms and escaping one last time to the darkness of slumber. Tomorrow would decide everything. Okay, I'm gonna get pretty... I'm gonna record for like maybe a few more minutes and then we'll end this. The day of the siege had finally dawned. We arrived at the Demon Lord's castle and we were as ready as we could be. Many armies bearing different banners and colors washed over the grounds before the castle, ready to rush in and lay waste to the Demon Lord and the remainder of his forces. All of us shared a common enemy, and upon his demise would all finally know some form of peace. And since we've done this before, skip!
You fucking doofus.
I hugged him back, feeling relief that we had finally arrived at the castle and were about to rush inside. As we slowly pulled away, Sam lifted me up and helped me to my feet.
You gonna be okay?
I nodded, shaking off the exhaustion from my mind. I was ready to end this. I looked up at the castle gates and felt a rush of determination run through me. Let's go finish this. With that, Sam and I raced forward. The final battle had begun. At the gates, however, I stood a figure that seemed to pose almost pridefully in our path. Sam and I stopped in our run and took in who was standing in our way. For some reason, he seemed familiar. Who?
Finally, you showed up.
That voice. My mind finally clicked, linking that voice to a memory I wish I'd forgotten. However, it couldn't have been. No way. Sam began to growl almost animalistically as the figure stepped out of the shadow of the gate. His face was covered in a terrifying devil mask, but I recognized him despite the fact. His white hair, his red skin, there was no way it could have been.
Missed me, bitch?
Malix!
At the sound of his name, Malix reached up and removed the mask from his face, revealing a large amount of scars and wounds that were hidden away. Despite this, there was a smirk plastered from ear to ear across Malix's cheeks.
You're supposed to be dead!
You didn't think I actually died, did you? Only pussy little boys like you can get taken out like that.
My heart froze at the fact that he was still alive. It couldn't have been. I had seen what had happened to him. He was supposed to be dead. Malix inhaled a deep breath and stretched out his arms, looking around with the largest grin on his face before turning to Sam.
Isn't this the most brutal war you've ever seen? Legions killing each other for no goddamn reason other than to rule this pathetic plane. It makes me want to make popcorn and watch the bloodshed.
Sam glared hard at Malix, taking a step towards him. Malix, however, cackled in response and locked eyes with the incubus.
Of course! I came here for a reason. I can't just sit on my ass and watch. Too bad, though. This is some great entertainment.
Then why are you here, asswipe? Got a real death wish this time?
What makes you think you can kill me? Besides, aren't you trying to save energy to fight your old man?
Malix stuffed his hands into his pockets and leaned back, puffing his chest out and flaunting the burnt insignia on his chest.
I got sent here by the head of hell himself, straight from the top, and I got the best seats in the house to the bloodiest war this plane has ever seen.
Sam chuckled, cracking his knuckles.
Funny! I thought Satan only gave a shit about devils who didn't get their faces beaten in. Seems like he's getting soft.
Instantly, Malix's face shifted to an angry scowl, making the smirk on Sam's face widen.
Now that you're all hot and bothered, wanna tell me what you're up to before I send you back with your head up your ass?
Huh, so that's what his outfit looks like.
Well, first I'm gonna paint these gates with your blood. Then wait until this war is over before I annihilate every fucking demon left and make this world a part of hell, just like it was supposed to be.
You're funny for a dead man.
Am I? You tried to kill me once before, dipshit, and look where that got you. Didn't work out so well, did it?
Malix stretched his neck to the side, making a loud, echoey crack sound reverberated through the air. I once of the sound.
What makes this so funny is that it won't matter who wins this war in the end. Once it's over, I'll send for my boys and we'll fuck everyone up while they're celebrating. Ha! It'll be the bloodiest celebration this plane has ever seen! Then, we'll seal this world and fuse it with hell, giving Satan a whole world full of demon soldiers and slaves at his disposal. The chaos of this world practically begged for a war to tear it apart. Now the abyssal planes will truly be a part of hell, like the fuckfaces of heaven intended.
Not if I made sure you don't get the chance, fucker.
Malix cackled wildly, staring at Sam with a maddened expression. His eyes burned with insane bloodlust as a smirk, and licked his teeth.
It's this world's destiny, shithead! Even humans know that demons belong in hell.
No, they don't. I felt myself angrier at Malix. Demons and devils were completely different, and demons, except for Demon Lord, did not belong anywhere near hell.
Think about it, will ya? How many brainless humans think that demons come from hell? They put demons and devils together like they're no different from each other. It's inevitable. Every shit stain on this world is gonna bow down to the Lord of Hell, and we'll rip apart the gates of heaven together.
Sam stepped forward once more, cracking his knuckles at his sides.
I am so sick of hearing your voice, Malix. Let's just end this.
Oh, I almost forgot the best part.
Malix locked eyes with me, suddenly making a violent tremor run down my spine. His gaze spoke nothing but sadistic intent, and his words made his stare much more terrifying.
Just because I can, after we're done taking over this world, I'm gonna take that human bitch and make her the fuck toy of Satan's army.
Instantly, Sam vanished and reappeared in front of Malix, swinging a punch at him. However, he only made contact with the vanishing afterimage. Before I could blink, Malix disappeared and reappeared behind Sam, punching Sam's head and sending him flying towards the castle wall. Sam!
Payback time, fuckface!
Malix flew at Sam's body like a bullet and began to slam his fist into him, while crackling and caving in around Sam's body. I don't remember. So, save it here. Stay back? Part of me knew better than to try. Malix probably had a weapon, and if I knew anything about Malix, he would use that against me without hesitation. I was out of energy to even defend myself from him, and I was sure that that's what my grandfather's protection spell ran on. He wanted to beat Sam before trying to kill him. His pride was one downfall of his, and I remember very clearly. Malix continued to punch onto Sam's body, making the body's shape and indentation in the castle wall that much deeper. However, with a small flash of green light, he suddenly began to erupt from the center.
Get off!
Malix was suddenly forced back from a bright energy pulse as Sam pushed himself out of the hole he was trapped in. Around his body were green, flickering waves of energy pulsating in time with Sam's breath. Sam glared hard as he clenched his fist and formed a simple sword in his hand, one he had used in his training multiple times.
Ooh, bringing the blade out, huh? What happened to those good old brute fists of yours?
Malix raised the arm of his side, forming a large sword with a red blade and chain connecting from the hilt to his belt.
Time to slice a bitch up!
Malix and Sam rushed at each other, slamming their swords into each other with reckless speed. I couldn't understand how Malix gained the ability to be as fast as Sam, but something about the devil was very different from the first and last time I had seen him. He was much more cocky, and there was some sort of strength within him that frightened me more than any before. However, I felt that Sam still had the upper hand. There was no way he would let Malix win. Sam flipped over Malix and slashed at his back, opening the fabrics of his vest, but not deep enough to make contact with the skin. Malix snarled and spun around, initiating their clash of swords.
What's wrong, pretty boy? You seem to be holding back!
I don't need to waste energy killing you!
At last, their swords slammed against one another, a screech echoing through the air, both pushed against one another, snarling into each other's faces.
It's pointless, Incubus! This world is fucked!
Tell that to Satan when you die!
Sam suddenly lifted his foot up and jammed it into Malix's chest, kicking him back towards the castle wall. With a grunt and the crack of broken ribs reverberated through the air, Malix slid back and glared at Sam. However, the glare quickly died into a look of sadistic amusement as Malix rolled up his shoulders and stood back up as if he could just shrug off the injury. Around his body grew a bright orange and red flame, causing waves of heat to pulse through the air around us.
You want a final showdown? You got it!
Sam, with a smirk of his own, stood tall with a fast-growing green aura around his body. The air around him pulsed in sync with Malix's in equal measure.
It's over, Malix.
I watched as they both charged up their final attacks and forced their palms out towards each other. Green and red orbs of light shot out from each of their hands and collided, followed by a brilliant rays that pushed them forward and into each other. I had to shut my eyes, blocking the flash of light from blinding my vision before looking back up to see the bout with a gasp. The air around the orb pulsed heavily, whipping in all directions and fueled by both the demon and the devil. The orbs ground into each other, lightning and fire bursting from the minuscule space between them. Both opponents had their eyes locked onto each other as the earth around them bent and bowed away from their collision of their power. Still, they were somehow equally matched. How could this be?
Give him your remaining energy, child. It is the only way to end this.
The voice of the dragon rang in my head as I stared at Sam. His face was tightened in pure anger and determination. He was giving as much as he could, but I knew he was holding back to save energy for his father. I took a breath and quickly rushed over to Sam, grabbing hold of his arms and feeling his body naturally pull energy from me.
What are you doing?
Ending this together! Sam stared at me, causing his orb to falter, but as I passed my energy onto him, Sam nodded and focused back on Malix, concentrating his orb forward with both his energy and mine. Malix would not win. I wouldn't let him. At last, the deadlock became pressed as Sam's orb pushed Malix back. Inch by inch, with each push getting stronger and faster, I could feel myself grow dizzy, but I didn't care. This was Malix's last stand.
What? No!
I glared hard at Malix as the clash between them became full of a green energy, cutting through the devil's attack with ease. Sam's orb at last made purchase and slammed into Malix's body, knocking him fully into the castle wall. As the orb vanished, Sam quickly rushed forward and rammed the sword into Malix's chest, pinning him to the stone.
It's over, Malix. Fucking die already!
What? Sam pulled back, giving me the full view of his sword buried to the hilt onto Malix's chest. Malix, however, only cackled and laughed, coughing blood with each chuckle.
Pathetic. You're weak, Incubus. You and your bitch human.
Says the one impaled on a wall.
You think you can win this war? Be my guest. I'll be back and I'll piss on your corpse when it's all over.
Okay. With a terrifying laugh, Malix's body melted into hot lava, dripping over the sword's blade and landing onto the ground before fading away. I stared in shock. He was coming back? I could tell that Sam was angry, but my exhaustion finally hit me like a wave. I crumpled to my knees, slamming my hands to the ground to keep myself upright as I panted. I was worn out. If I hadn't been out of energy before, I definitely was now. Sam quickly dropped down beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders and laying a careful hand on my arm.
Whoa! Are you okay?
I nodded, obviously lying, but I knew that we had more important things to worry about. Malix was gone, hopefully dead for real, and we were at the castle's gates, ready to charge in and fight the Demon Lord. As Sam and I looked up, we both locked our sights on a window exploding outward with a figure flying out of it. As the figure flapped their wings and steadied themselves, they swooped back inside. Diana! I gripped Sam's arm and lifted myself up, knowing that we had to get inside.
You good?
Yeah, let's just go. Yeah, I'll end this part here. I'll do another save file, because I'm coming back to here. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.